So we've watched Max Manners for a few years. And he's a great role model for kids. It's sad that we have to teach kids that way. And that's what sort of prompted my speech. I thought about it when David said to me, we're going to have the theme of manners. And I said, there's been a lot written lately, a lot of information in the web. I must have looked at, I'm not kidding you, 100 different web pages and websites talking about the lack of manners, the denigration of manners in our society, the sites dedicated to how to teach your kids manners. And I just kept going through this and through this. Just pile of information. And it hit me that why do we need this? Why is this a big problem today? What's going on with us? And again, going back, I looked and started looking at some of the statistics out there. And there was a couple of studies that I brought up. Again, off the web, great resource for just about anything. There's a large recruitment company called TMP. They're a worldwide group, and they specialize in high-level executive recruiting. And they did a study that said 57% of the people they polled said that manners in the workplace have changed dramatically in the last 10 years, and again, significantly worse than that in the last 5 years. Now, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I haven't seen that kind of dramatic change personally, but I have seen a change from the time I started working into today. 98% of the people they polled, bad manners were a negative effect on the morale of their business. So if you're running a company, a simple thing like manners changes the way your people work together. Hewitt and Associates is another large recruiting company that does a lot of these types of studies. 15% of the employees that they polled experienced significant instances of bad manners at least once a month. And when you read deeper into the article, they mean significant instance of bad manners, not a forgetting of a thank you, but really blow-ups of people in the details. So it's a mystery to me. Why is this such a big problem? When you think about it, it's a simple process. What is manners? I heard a couple of definitions earlier today, and I have one of my own that I think just sums it all up. To act in a sociable and acceptable way. That's what manners are. As simple as that. Treat people the way you'd like to be treated. And I have to scratch my head, why is that such a difficult topic? Why is that so hard for people to do? And why is there so much written about it today? And it's a big problem. I said, why? I don't have an answer. I can give you a couple of my thoughts, though. I look at what manners are all about. And number one, I sort of think of manners as, comes from a couple of different spots. Number one is custom. There's customs, history. Second is what I would call your convention, the things we do. Etiquette is probably a better word for that. And then thirdly is just consideration. So if you break manners up into those three areas, you start to wonder, why are they changing? First one is custom. You think about it. Customs are not things we do anymore. Tradition, we don't want to do that. My fathers did that, my grandfathers did that. It's not cool to do that kind of stuff. Do you know why we shake hands? Because it was very simple. In medieval times, you had a sword. And this was a way of showing you weren't an enemy. It's a simple custom. But I've noticed we don't do it as often today, especially young people. When you meet somebody, you reach out, you shake their hand. It's a custom. There's no reason to do it. We don't carry swords and knives with us typically on a run of a day. Well, some of us might see more of that than others, but generally we don't have a problem. But we still do it. But it is disappearing. And it's odd, especially when I see young kids, 10, 12, 15-year-old kids, and you meet them. A lot of them have no concept of shaking your hand. Even girls, shaking your hand. A mystery to me. It's a common courtesy. Second thing is, why do we tip our hat? Again, very simple. The visors, medieval time, show who you were. Customs. I can see why tipping your hat probably would go away. But why people wear their hats at dinner, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So maybe one of the reasons we're losing some of our touch with manners is simply that it's custom and it disappears after a while and it's not important. And maybe that's okay. But some of it isn't okay. Second thing I talked about was etiquette, our table manners, eating, using a knife and fork, opening a door for a lady. Maybe that's again a custom that is disappearing. Women are capable. But for the life of me, why someone wouldn't get up off a subway and give a pregnant woman a seat is I can't deal with it. And I do not personally have many issues that bother me. But that's one that really bothers me. And I made a scene on that in a train one time about that. People sitting behind with their newspapers and a pregnant woman standing on a train, and I'm standing, so I didn't have a choice. And I finally just yelled out to somebody to get off there, to get on. I made a scene, because it just is absolutely not the right thing to do. Where is going on with things like that? Again, that etiquette. And I think of myself and say, self, I live in a town that once a year has a night, and it's become a kind of a little national phenomenon. It's become a little bit of a cottage industry just recently starting. That the town organizes a night where there's no homework, there's no sporting events. Everyone should go home and eat around the table and have one meal around the table. It's called family night. And again, everyone raves about this idea, and I sit back and say, that is a sad, sad comment. That we have to get one night where the family sits together. That's a problem. Because again, how do your kids learn? They learn by watching you. They learn by seeing how you eat your meal. When you finish your meal, how you put your plates away. How you use a knife and fork. The fact that you have a language going on and chatting going on while you're eating and the television's not on. They don't learn by you taking them and telling them how to do things. They learn by watching the way you interact. And if you don't interact, they're not going to learn. It's that simple. So maybe Ridgewood will have better manners than every other town in the U.S. because one night, once a year, we sit down. It's not a positive comment. The last one is consideration. And consideration is simply just that. Being considerate to people. Getting up out of the seat for the pregnant woman. Why is that even something we need to discuss? But it is. It happens. Seeing people who need help. I stopped the other day on the road. I'm driving down Goffle Road, and I can see there's two people. There's an elderly gentleman, and it hit me. It was hot, and it just sort of, you could see it happening. There was an elderly gentleman and a son, and he had to help him sit down on a railing, and they had gone for a walk. So I pulled over the car and just yelled out, do you need help? And they said, yeah, we'd appreciate a ride. They were only 2 blocks from where they were, but his dad couldn't walk the distance. And I don't know, maybe another day I might have just driven by. I don't know, I just happened to be at the corner and saw it happen, so I stopped. Normally I probably wouldn't have. I would have just been in my own world and driven by. But I don't know what possessed me to do it. That was the right thing to do at the time. That kind of consideration, trust me, I don't do it all the time. I'm like everyone else. But they were just impressed with that. And I'm saying, well, that's just the way I was brought up. And I try to do it as much as I can. I'm not perfect, but I try to do it as much as I can. With my son in the car, he learns from that. Not by me telling him it's the right thing to do. That doesn't work. It goes in one ear and right out the other. But by him watching, they learn. And that kind of consideration is what makes the difference. And to me, you asked a great table topics question tonight. What is it that is the foundation? It really is respect. It's your respect for people and treating people the way you want to be treated. And if everyone would just stop for a second and say that, there'd be a lot less stress, a lot less strife, and you'd be amazed at how mannerly we'd all be. Mr. Toastmaster.